coming to you live from the Show Me State, birthplace of James Mercer, Langston Hughes. It's the Colbert Connection. Your hosts, Melody and Danica, are connecting you to the world through Facebook Live with today's topics, hot button and creative conversation. I'm your announcer, Dr. Colbert, working hard for a free meal and a bottle of crushed grapes. And now, here's your host, the Colbert Connection, Melody Colbert King and Danica Colbert.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight, Tuesday, 6 o'clock sharp. We are on time, just so y'all can notice. And we appreciate you tuning in again and sticking with us. We, technical difficulties every once in a while, but we're still hanging in there making it happen. You got to keep at it if you want to get great at it. Don't coin that phrase, though. And if you do, be sure and give me credit. Anyway, so Danica, here we are again.
Here we are. What you think?
Man, we got more. I'm trying to understand because the people keep giving us material, and I can't understand it.
Like they know we got something to say.
We got something to say, and that's all good. And it's all good. But we're gonna need a time that we can make up something instead of getting real life instances that are happening now.
Yes.
So, those real life instances, tell me, you give me some feedback. Let me hear your chat about, let's just say, what's in a name?
There's a lot in a name. That's a loaded question.
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit more about what you're asking.
So what I'm thinking, what we've been seeing are the name changes. We've been seeing Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima. We've been seeing statues come down, flags come down. Help me out here. I mean, is that, yes, they're on the wagon now and they're finally getting it? Or what is that for real? Because I'm going to give you my opinion, but I won't hear yours.
I feel like in some instances, maybe we are taking it too far.
How so?
Is that really what it's about? I mean, we've been pouring Aunt Jemima for I don't know how long.
Although my favorite was Mrs. Butterworth, okay. But I'm just saying, Aunt Jemima's been around, yes.
Right. I mean, we've been dipping and sipping and everything for the longest time. And Uncle Ben's, I mean, I like Uncle Ben's.
Got some in the cabinet now.
So, things that don't necessarily bother me anymore, or bother us maybe anymore, but I feel like we're going about changing the wrong things.
So that's interesting that you say that, because to me it feels like it's a superficial, it's a symbolic.
Okay.
You are scratching this surface up here when the underlying cracked pipe is under here.
Okay.
And we got to dig down to get to that pipe and find the problem. Changing the name, I personally leave a statue, leave a flag, because I know how to disassociate myself. But on the other hand, I can understand the ancestors and the people that was in those eras, in those slavery eras, and in that, the Jim Crow and the civil fight, and I can understand what it means to them, and I'm with that, and I get that. So, in my opinion, it's like taking it down or requiring that the flag be, that Confederate flag, which is the one we're talking about.
Let's talk about that, shall we? That's one I've been waiting to talk on for a few weeks.
Miss Branson, that's what we're going to call her, Miss Branson.
Karen from Branson, shall we?
Karen Branson from Branson.
So I'm sure by now everybody has probably seen the Facebook post of the lady in Branson in front of the outfitters, dressed in the flag.
Wrapped up, that's my cloak and dagger.
This is it. And all the kids behind her and all the people got dressed up with it on too. I just don't understand. And I wonder, how many of them really understand what's behind it or why maybe it bothers us? I just really wonder, are we doing this because grandma up here's doing it? I really don't have a clue why or what, but I'm going to put it on because she's got it on too, and she's going hard right now, so I'm going to go hard with her too.
And you hear that. You hear, oh, that's heritage, not hate. So a couple of people that I actually ask, so what heritage is it?
Oh, you mean the battle flag?
But I asked them that. What is that heritage?
Yeah.
What's the heritage that you fly in this flag so proudly?
The rebel flag? Yeah, because that's all they know.
No, they didn't even
Not
know what the heritage was.
Confederate flag. They're like, oh no, that's the battle flag.
Yeah.
What do you mean? It's the same flag. So we're trying to understand. So
Enlighten us if we're missing something, because our show, we are talking about it.
talk about it.
We want to get your opinions. We want to get your input also, because we have opinions just like you do. And so if we're wrong, please chime in and let us know what the significance is to you without it being what we think it is.
Absolutely. But let's talk about that now. So, so when you see the Confederate flag,
Right.
what does that mean to you? So you're at McDonald's, you pull up.
I ain't got to go to McDonald's. It comes right up and down Broadway. This man got two double barrels hanging up on
hanging out. So what does that say to you then? When you pull up or wherever you go, when you get out and
What can I say
someone pulls by
on camera?
Well, you know, it's your show.
What?
You can say, no, I'm just-
Well, that says to me, cousin, that there's some misguided individuals out there.
Okay.
I think you got to give me a few more months to come off of the politically correct way of saying things, because I've been on council for 14 years, so I got to come down from that. But I'm working on it, and I still can get there and go with you. But it's you're doing that for what reason? It's not a pride. It's not a, and sometimes the people even have it. You ain't been no further than Joplin. You haven't even been down in the deep South where all this originated.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I see them, and back when I was younger, it'd be like, oh, Lord, we're going to have to fight today. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Absolutely.
But now I'm like, please.
Because a lot of people don't know. They
Yeah.
have no idea what it even means.
Right.
And when you say, like, there was a post someone had made, and they were like, oh, I don't understand why the uproar about the Tennessee battle flag. And I'm like, I was like, no, you'd be hard typing.
No.
And then you were like, delete. And you go back and you're like, okay, let me see. After you have a moment. And I was like, let me put this right. And so you get to type in, a little lighter.
Yes, you start going, oh,
like, okay, how do I
yes.
put that so it's received, right? Because I want them to receive it and not be like, well, she went off. Like, that wasn't what I was trying to do. But I wanted to let them know this Tennessee battle flag, like, this is really the Confederate flag. And
It's
the Confederate flag had a purpose. So,
and it was for a symbol of white purity.
Absolutely.
According to the gentleman not the one that designed it, because yes, I do history and research, not the one that originally designed, but the adapted model that was finally put in there. Yes. And the man that had said that, he did say for the white purity, and it's like, okay, all right. So that tells me all I need to know.
Absolutely. That's all I need to know.
I look for the truth. I'm not looking for your opinions on it. I'm looking for what the truth is and the real meaning. And so her wrapping herself up in the flag, telling the people, the woman said, I'm going to teach my grandkids to hate you.
So what she did right there, for those of you that haven't seen it, what she did right there was she stood on her first message, which she said, she said, and I'm gonna co-sign it too. I'm gonna let y'all know.
Yes, put some sauce on
that's
it.
That's not even enough, but I'm gonna teach my grandkids to hate you too.
And then
that's
what
she
happened. She came on TV.
And she wanted to apologize,
and
y'all.
she said, I am not a racist. I did not mean it. You see us staring into the camera, right? If you could zoom in on our eyes, because we're like, you didn't mean it.
It didn't mean it.
Now, you meant that. You meant that.
I feel so.
And that's fine. Because that's perfectly your right.
However,
go ahead.
Here's my problem.
Feel me?
Look, here's my problem.
Feel me? I'm with you.
I don't have respect for you because of what you said. I would have accepted, okay, your first statement because that's how you felt.
That's your truth.
That's
That's
you
your
have
truth.
the right to feel however you, whatever kind of way.
Absolutely.
However, when you come back and you now want to apologize because you've been fired from your job,
What?
all of your friends have probably disowned
What?
you, and the black community is in royal uproar about this post that you made. I now have a problem that you want to apologize now. Now I'm going to apologize to you because I've lost my standing in the society. So here's what, Mel.
If you go ahead.
Go ahead.
If you feel that, defend that.
That's right.
Stick
Stand
with
on
that.
it.
Stand on
Stand
it.
on.
Don't backtrack because somebody said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And is that? Oh my God, I can't believe you lost. Like Donique, like you lost your job and that. You can't. For long anyway, you cannot hide your true self. It's going to shine through. That mask you put on is going to drop one day.
Absolutely.
Or it's going to get too heavy.
And that was the day.
And that was the day. Yeah, that
it
was
came
the
off
day.
for her that day. And again, like we were saying, just support. If that's what you meant, stand on it. Because now you're a liar too.
Yeah.
Because nobody believes.
Now we don't know.
your
Now we're like,
apologies.
so are you a racist or aren't you?
But I'm not even asking. I'm just
don't even care.
I will speak. I will speak to you, but I know because you already told me. Because they say when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time, right?
Believe them, and not saying we don't all make mistakes because we do.
No, but
None of us are perfect.
She stood on
but
it. She stood on it.
She repeated several instances of her intentions and her feelings.
Yes.
And I can only go by what you showed and said.
That's
I mean,
right.
that was that. I don't know her from Adam.
And we
Don't need to know her.
We didn't know who she was until that day, and now we all know. Be like, oh yeah, that's Karen from Branson.
Yeah.
Karen from Branson.
Because everything is heightened now.
Yes.
Everything, and so people are recognizing stuff, and it's like, what in the what?
Yeah.
What in the what?
Y'all
I don't know. Just help me.
help us understand.
Help me. So help
I
me
know
understand.
some of y'all have seen it. Talk to us now.
Yeah. So help us understand the symbolic gestures of the corporations putting the black CEOs and the corporations saying, yeah, we're gonna put so much money into Black Lives Matter or whichever cause that's up there right now, and I don't these are Band-Aids.
Yeah, let's talk about Starbucks, y'all.
Oh,
And
I have stars. I
Look,
do.
I got stars too.
I
Look.
got enough for a free thing right now.
I love my iced caramel macchiato with 5 pumps, okay? So let's talk about it. So there was a post about, when they had little situations.
Yes, the shirts
and
and
the
what
Black
they could
Lives
wear.
Matter, yes.
Mhm.
And then they came back with the retraction of the statement or whatever. And y'all can wear what you want to wear after they got so much flack from the black community about we even know where we can spend our black dollars then. So
Just saying.
that's what happened with the black community. However, they apologized, right?
Right.
What we've been asking for is change, right? I don't know if it was just some idiot in a position that was over the marketing
Right.
area and he put out the post and that's what we went with, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, that got us in trouble.
It's like,
and
ooh.
everybody's eyes are on it now, and it was just some idiot in a position.
Could be.
I don't know that. But if what we want is change and we brought light to you want our black money, and they're like, well, okay, then I guess we can't be that way. We're going to let everybody wear what they want to wear, support LGBTQ. We're going to support everything. They do it all.
Everything.
So that just to me was like, I just think it might have been an idiot in a position of power that made a post that probably doesn't work for Starbucks any longer, I would bet.
Well,
I don't know, but I'm just my 2 cents.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Talk to us about your 2 cents. Are you drinking the Starbucks?
I ain't drank it since the first when the 2 black gentlemen got arrested. And been since. So my stars might be expired.
Someone else
check
mentioned
that out.
Someone else mentioned that to me, and I was like, yeah, that might be strike 2.
But I will say, I looked at their training module that they did when that happened, the first incident, and it was very impressive. They actually had people in, and they developed these new models. I'm kind of thinking on that now because the instance we just had with them. It's like, so what did we learn that first time? What did we learn? But I guess what's mind-boggling with all of this is, are we just now seeing this stuff? Are we just now seeing it, or has this been happening for years that we've been trying to bring awareness to in our many different forms of silent or loud or kneeling or whatever protest that we have done? So was the George Floyd murder the final straw that finally said, woo, the scales have fall off. You know, they've fallen off, and I can really see that some things need to change.
I feel so. I feel it was like just enough. And then it brought light right behind it to Brianna and all those other situations. It's like, that's 4 people in one. You know, it kept building. And it's like, okay, I think we're at the point in time where we've got to say something. We've got to do more.
The boiling point.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
boiling point.
Absolutely. And it's not that we didn't know these things were wrong.
Right.
It's the fact that y'all keep letting this get caught on camera. So there's no deniability. There's the man in the park, bird watching, all these things and all these situations. And it's like, wow, that really happens.
Yeah.
I can tell you all day, but if I show you, that's totally, you don't have a choice but to believe me now. Like, this really happens.
Right.
You know, how many times have you gotten on the elevator with people and they clutch their purse? Or they scoot to the far side. Not to be nice, but they just scoot to the far side.
Yeah. Or
That's
you sitting in the parking
every day.
lot and you see people, you hear a door lock.
Yeah, every day. It happens. This is everyday occurrence.
Well, I lock my doors too.
Yes, we do.
When certain people walk by.
I'll be double hitting it.
I mean, like, is it locked? Is it locked? I mean, I'm just
It's
saying,
true.
you know,
It's
we got to do better. We just got to do better, and not just, white people, black people. We all have to do. We as the human race have to do better, because we all have issues, within communities or within the circles we hang in. We all have issues, but if we're not willing to work on them or address them first, that's the key, is addressing them. There's so much stuff that's not addressed and starting to be addressed now because of these unfortunate incidents that keep happening. And so my thing is, I'm not here for the Band-Aids. I'm here for cutting into the wound to pull the bullet out, so to speak, to get down to the wound and see where the cancer or to see where it is, I appreciate that there's some black CEOs now, and that there's, and you're giving the money and you're taking poor Aunt Jemima off the butter, off the syrup, and Uncle Ben, and, and even the Dixie Chicks.
Oh.
Man.
Yeah. But see,
y'all don't always be Dixie Chicks to me. I don't even know. I mean, I'm going to recognize that you are the chicks now, but I liked y'all ever since y'all stood up against Bush and the invasion in Iran.
That didn't have nothing to do with color.
Didn't have nothing to do with it. But they got ostracized, so they feel.
They understand.
They understand.
Yep. And that song that they just put out was like
March.
a right now song.
Powerful.
For what is going on in the world, and they put that video behind it that just like
powerful.
Just in case you were confused about what we're really talking about, this is what we're talking about. Because here's the video, so I can show you, right? And it just, to me, meant, okay, we're changing this name because to them that meant something, but that's not because the black community was like, let's get this Dixie off these chicks.
Yeah,
that's not.
Or Lady Antebellum, because now they changed theirs to Lady A, and it's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, but we're not asking.
But we're not asking for we're asking for systems to change.
Equality.
We're asking for policies to change. We're asking for the equity and the equality that's been missing since America's inception. We're just gonna go ahead and throw that out there because it's true. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's true. So, like I said, we all have work to do.
Absolutely.
We all have work to do. We got work within ourselves, within, our groups we hang in. We could all learn from each other.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that picking, we're not picking on any one thing. We equal opportunity picking.
Absolutely.
We are equal opportunity picking because we all have stuff. As Erykah Badu said, we all got bags. The song was Bag Lady, but there's bag men and there's bag women. So, we got stuff that we've grown up with.
Yes.
That's been indoctrinated into our heads. That's been the things that we've experienced that shapes us now. Mm-hmm. So we have to work hard to unlearn a lot of that.
Absolutely.
Grandma might have put something in her head, or great grandmas, or whoever, and we hold that because it's like, oh, that's my grandma. Right. You can't. That's right.
That's right.
And we didn't dare say it was wrong to them, or whatever, because you about to be knocked into 2 stages of tomorrow. But the older you get and the more experiences you have, you see that there isn't just one way of things. There's not just one way. And like I said, it's not exclusive to the white people, and it ain't exclusive to the black people, or any other, indigenous or the Asians or Hispanic. It's not exclusive to one group. And so it's just something we need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
And like I said, sometimes things start at home, right?
Absolutely.
Which is why our guest today, we got the esteemed Big Thunder. For those who don't know, the Reverend Samuel Nero Jr. that's going to join us today. And he's got some stuff to say that we need to be paying attention to, because it's got a lot to do with some learned behaviors. And we're going to get a good input from him to see how we can do better.
Because it starts, I feel, at home.
And in your communities,
your own little circle, your own little network. Because if I go home and just, I can't teach back anybody at home any better if I don't know better, right?
You don't know better.
So,
because that saying is, if you know better,
you do better.
But it ain't always that.
Yeah, sometimes we don't want to do better.
Sometimes we like to stay stuck in what we have come up in, or what we know.
Yeah.
Because change is uncomfortable. And we understand that a lot of pushback to even the changes that are trying to come about now, when you've been in a position to enjoy the benefits of how the system works, heck yeah, you're going to push back against it.
Why would you want to change
Because you like, wait, am I about to lose this status or this benefit or this? Is it going to change for me? And that's not a wrong thing to think, because that's with anybody. If you've got something that's working for you, why you want to change it? And so within families and within all instances, we can apply that.
Absolutely.
So
I want to hear what Rev
I know. We are excited to have him today. And so we are going to let him give himself an introduction, because, I think people can introduce themselves better than somebody else reading off of something or just whatever, because then they telling us what they want us to know.
That's right.
And so without further ado, we're going to tell you, we got Sam Nero Jr. joining us here. Brother Sam. Look, Brother Pastor Sam. Look, Brother Mr. Pastor.
Brother Sam's good enough.
Well, back to what we were saying, how we was brought up.
Right.
Mr. Nero, Pastor Nero.
Put a handle on.
Man,
That's right.
that was funny from our last guest when she gave the first name of a lady who worked for their family. And her name was Florence. And we was like,
is Florence your age?
I had to interrupt. I said, "Is she your age?" And she's like, "Oh no, she was much older." And I was like,
well, we say ma'am.
I said, "Oh, you called her Florence?"
Wow. Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, but that's just another example."
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was Mr. or Mrs. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. No, sir. It was yes.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead, bring us, tell us a little something.
Well, good evening. I'm glad to be here with these two young ladies, the Colbert connection. If nothing else, everybody knows Colbert's mean special things to me in this my life. And I'm just glad to be here. But as I said, my pastorate is an assignment, but I'm just Samuel Nero Jr. And just one correction is that I'm not a postmaster, but a postal carrier.
And that was my bad. That wasn't him trying to be above himself.
I didn't
so
want nobody to think I was running
yeah,
the post office.
yes,
I'm
y'all.
a foot soldier. That's what I like to believe in, is that we're not better than anybody else.
Right.
We all are sinners saved by grace, and I just
Amen.
thank God for that. So I'm glad to be here, but I really want to make sure that we talk about the real, where the rubber hits the road.
Look, let me get a drink now.
But there's a lot of things that are going on that you all are talking about that we need to start. But it starts at the house, and we need to make sure that we take care of the house.
Starts at the house.
Yeah.
Now, just because we can only speak from what we've grown up with
Right.
in a black household, it's rough.
It's rough. It's rough. It's rough.
It's rough.
It's rough. It's rough.
And you didn't have much of a voice. I didn't have much of a voice. Did you have much of a voice?
Oh no. We were told to do it, and we just did it. Now, that's how you got in trouble when you had voice. And the next thing you remember is waking up from after your voice was heard, because you never talked back, you never did anything within the house or in the church. We were always seen and not heard, and so that's what made it a lot different. But we gained respect from that, and we learned that away. And so now our head does a double spin when we see people that don't have that respect, because we're not used to that. We're not used to that.
Yeah.
We were brought up a different way, and we know we're different in a different society. But back to what you all were saying, a lot of this stuff is learned behavior. Because I had to learn how to say thank you. I had to learn how to say, forgive me, and all that. So learn to pray before your meals and stuff like that. We were taught those things.
Yes.
We were taught those things, and these kids now today have to be taught, and as well as we were. Don't go out there and like Susie or anybody else because she doesn't look like you or anything like that. Because we didn't know anything better. They were just kids, and they may look different or anything like that, but they were another kids, and we were just playing with them and different things like that. And so it made it easier. But the hardest thing coming forward is that the fact that we've forgotten where we've come from.
Oh, help now. Help. What do you mean by that? We forgot. How can we forget?
Internalized racism is that the fact that we don't like each other.
Whoa!
We don't speak to one another, and that's the sad part about that.
I wish I could zoom in. I wish. I'm not that advanced yet. I'm not that advanced. I ain't touching
No, don't touch nothing, please.
Can you repeat that?
Well, it's just internalized racism. It's internalized racism. We're not only killing each other with guns and violence, but we're killing each other with our words or lack of words. I mean, like I said, we can see each other in the mall or any place like that, walk right past each other and not speak anything. I don't want to give away all of our secrets, but what we know is that at least if you don't do nothing but the head nod, you at least recognize somebody. But when you walk right by me and act like your stuff don't stink, and then you think you're better than anybody else, and then I like to think that you forget where you come from. And like I said, I base that even more so even in the Christian community, because we get so heavily bound that we're no so earthly good, that we just think that we're better than everybody else because we were once sinners, we found Christ now, and we act like we don't sin anymore, or we don't have a past.
We're still sinners, we just saved by grace.
Exactly. And so we moved to different churches so everybody doesn't know our background.
Yeah.
Now, I probably don't want everybody to come to the church and tell all of my business.
Right.
Because I'm going to take some things.
Lord didn't say everything. He just say, confess.
And I don't want them to come and tell all my stories, but I want all my friends to come down. But I'm not ashamed of that. Because that was my past.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm trying to figure out the mindset of where you get to where it don't cost you nothing to speak. And I'm not asking you to go to lunch. I'm not asking you to do anything. And that's male and female. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just somewhat, but I don't know. I don't know if the girls think that I'm after them, because I'm not much to look at. But I'm just saying. But they won't even speak to thinking, oh, I'm gonna hit on them or something. I just speak it.
That's it.
I mean, just in case something breaks out in here, we know whose team we are.
It's nothing more than that.
Exactly.
I mean, because sometimes it's good you say that, because I will walk into, and sometimes I don't individually, but I will cover the whole room. Hey, everybody.
Right.
Because that's a common courtesy. And it's like, what does that cost you to speak?
It don't cost you nothing to speak. And like I said, I'm not asking any more from you than that.
Right.
And like I said, that's what we were taught. But again, it seems like it's more ingrained up north than down at the south, as you all were talking about.
Right.
When I've been to Memphis and different things the first time, I'm thinking, well, they let these blacks come on in, and they probably said, oh, they're going to be here for a while, so don't fight them no more or anything like that. Now, I don't like you, but you're going to be here. So, no sense, we're going to deal with you. But when you come up north, we think that we've arrived, or we've got a little degrees behind our names, or back to what you were saying about pastors and preachers. People want to be called by those titles and different things like that. And they're nothing more than titles. Because when we go to home to be to heaven, God's not going to call me reverend. He's not going to call me pastor. He's going to call me servant. And that's all I want to hear.
That's it.
And so people get so caught up, back to the differentiate between the Christian community and the worldly community, if you allow me to say it that way, is that blacks get to the point to where they've arrived or gotten with white folks and hang around white folk that they forget where they were black.
Stop.
And even if they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, they're still black.
All day, every day.
Tiger Woods was loved by everybody. He messed around with his wife. Now he became black again.
With a quickness, didn't he?
With a quickness.
With a quickness.
I tell everybody, and I'm not a crazy Chiefs fan, but I said a couple of weeks ago, when Patrick Mahomes said he was Black Lives Matter, they didn't realize he was black until he said that.
It's like, oh, you didn't realize.
Yeah. And that's why again, my opinion. But Roger Goodell thought he better say something because his golden calf was speaking against something, and he didn't want to lose it.
Money always.
Exactly, and that's why it looked like he was reading from a prompter,
Yeah.
talking about we believe in Black lives. Now, when a black guy was doing that 4 years ago, you had nothing to say, and he was talking about the same things we're living with this year.
Help me with that.
But now all of a sudden, and they had to pull it out of him to even say something about that man's name because they still wanted to leave his name out of it.
Help me.
Yeah. And if those young black players, 70% that was in your league, wouldn't have said anything, would you ever?
Would you have said? Not a thing.
No.
Not a thing.
So back to what you all were saying is that the George Floyd thing has brought out a lot of things, but a lot of it's window dressing.
It is.
I mean, unfortunately, we have never stopped eating pancakes. We have never stopped eating syrup
It's
and rice or anything. And, yeah, exactly. But it's never had anything to do with that. I don't like this little black woman on there. You know, and they tried to spruce her up a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And the way I look at it, they just put 2 black people out of business the other day.
And
Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima.
I think that their people, their grandkids or something of the newest updated Aunt Jemima was like up in arms about it.
Right,
what?
Right.
We ain't get no royalties no more. Whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't think about the ramifications of that.
Yeah.
Back to what you're saying, businesses like Starbucks and different things like that. I remember a couple of years ago that the CEO from Papa John had made some missteps.
Yes.
And then everybody said, we ain't eating Papa John's pizza anymore. And see, what I need now is for the young people, they need to give me a list of who we not eating with and who we not staying with now.
But it changes so often. That's the problem.
Well, everybody makes a misstep now.
You're not doing chicken today?
Okay.
And see, that might be where I cross the line. That might be where I lose the line. I pray to God and nobody from churches ever says anything bad.
Man, I'd have to be like, I'm gonna need the CEO himself have to say something before I have to put it on some things. It's like
I even had to admit they were talking about Trump getting money from Wendy's. And they said, you know, and I was getting ready to go get me a triple from Wendy's, and I thought, oh boy. I said, Lord, forgive me, I'm going to have to cross the lines on this one, the picket line or anything like that. But there's a lot of things we have to work through. But again, back in internalized racism is where I have a big problem at. And a city where we're 5% of the population, or maybe even less.
Yeah, 3.
We are 3. Why not even at least know who's on team you're on and who you with?
Yeah.
And I don't have no problem with you going to the churches, doing everything, but like I said, just speak.
Just speak.
We can make so many inroads with one another, just knowing one another and being on the same team. But when we're not together, nobody else is going to come in and affect change with us if they see us not even getting along.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of that too, I mean, it's interesting you say that about internalized racism, that's how you put it. But think too, in the black family, a lot of it has to do with great-great-grandma was mad at such and such, so grandma's mad, and it's just trickled down, and you don't even know what you're mad for anymore, or what had been done to you or done to them that has no bearing whatsoever on you.
Exactly.
And so you're not going to speak because of that? You know, and we got to do better.
Yeah, well, the heart is so messed up, and like I said, we need to unbreak this heart.
Yeah.
And, you know, Christ is the only answer. And,
True.
You know, but, you know, everybody has got to get to that point first.
Yeah.
But still, those things of the past are the past, and we need to get by that. You know, back to the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
It was a losing flag. But, again, when we don't win, we don't go home. We still fight for another day, you know, and everything like that. So don't get mad. You lost the fight. You know, again, Hank Williams wrote the song, said if the South would have won, we'd have had it made. But again, they didn't. So we move on. The blacks are going to be here. We take on our mantra and move on. But there's nothing to get upset about or anything like that. But like you said, it starts at the home. Yeah. And I always call it, as a friend asked me about it, I said, it's that crawdad syndrome. We just keep each other in the bucket and we keep pulling each other down because we don't want nobody to succeed. Right. We don't want to be his place. We don't want anybody. We don't want anybody in the, you know. And again, even when we find those places, unfortunately, me included, we find ways to
Avoid.
nitpick
Yeah,
and
or
stay
yes.
away what they're doing and
Yeah.
say, well, I don't like them because they do this. I don't like them
Yeah.
because they do this.
What is
instead of
that
supporting
about?
instead of supporting them just because of them being here, because
Yeah.
we have so many less of them anyway. You know,
Yeah.
so why not? You know, it's like us picking in the NBA. You know, and as many of us running around, I don't like it because there's too many of them running around. I mean,
I don't
we just,
get it.
We
I
just,
don't get it.
We just support them. We just support.
Yeah.
Now again, I'm not saying to support anything that's ugly, that's negative, or
Right.
not in connotation, but just loving ourselves.
That's the key.
That's the
right
key.
there.
The key. And to step that a little further, I heard a friend was trying to tell me today that 83-year-old black man, well educated, was talking about he hates and starts throwing all these numbers about this. That yes, we do not have black men in our homes. The truth is the truth. But that doesn't mean we can't fight about what's the injustice in the world because we're still behind in all those everything. We got to accept the truth for ourselves.
Absolutely.
We got to be upset. We got to accept the Candace Owens for what they are.
Absolutely.
She's telling the truth.
She's got some points.
But we don't like to hear people talk about us from the inside of the family.
Right.
We can talk about each other, but don't give them the stick
Right.
to beat us with.
But you also, and just flipping that a little bit, because I listened to her and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
there's some points
Right,
here.
right.
But when you start talking about the male, the father in the home, and you know, that's where so many of the problems stem from. I have question with that. I have pause,
Right.
because a lot of the black men were railroaded
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
thrown in jail for nothing or falsely accused,
Right.
and so yeah, they're gone. They're gone because of that.
Right.
Now, true enough, there are some that was doing some deeds that need to be in jail, for that.
Exactly.
But you can't just lump it all into because black males aren't home that this is all what happened. Because there's some strong black women out
Exactly,
there, you know.
exactly, yeah.
My
And they
mom's
take
one
care
of
of
them.
it.
I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like they're out there.
Well, they all could have played the victim and just laid down and not did anything with their kids because
Right.
there wasn't a man in the home.
Right.
They picked up their cross, they got with the Lord in most parts.
Yeah.
And said, we still got to raise these children. Did we see their tears late at night and all the things they went through? No, we didn't. But they didn't let that. They might have held some bitterness or anything like that, but they kept on moving on and different things like that. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things we can discuss to where we went wrong at in the community and stuff like that. But still, we've got to press on anyway. And like I
Right.
said, we know, again, not getting all of our business out in the streets, but we know we have to work harder than the next man.
Right.
We have to work harder than the next woman.
Was we not told that?
Yeah,
growing
we were
up?
told that. And we didn't believe that until we got in the workplace. And I was telling about them Sunday, I said one of the worst things they could have did in the post office was start handing out awards to people and getting a check to go with it. And I'm thinking, I work as hard as anybody else here, but they didn't give me no check.
Did I get one?
Did I get one? No. And you don't realize you start that inner fighting in there and say, this dude don't do nothing, and he gets
Right.
a check. Now, was it because he's buddy with the boss, or what is the reason? And so you still work harder, you'll probably never be recognized for it, but it's an internal thing that no matter how bad you beat me down or anything like that, you're not going to break my will. You're not going to break my willingness to do, because I was taught to do my best.
I'm gonna do what I
I'm
gotta
going to
do.
do my best. You're never going to be able to call me in for lack of working.
Right.
You're going to have to call me in for maybe doing something systematically.
Might took an extra 10-minute break.
Yeah, I might take we might have did that.
'Cause
Or
we break.
Yeah, we
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 break.
break, as they say. we do that, and we do
Go
the best
find-
of that.
go
We take
find
an
them.
extra-
Go where they at? Have y'all
we'll take
seen
an
them?
extra 10. But if the smokers can take a 10, I can take a 10 too.
truth.
And I don't want to talk about that right now, but amen.
Another segment. That's gonna be another segment.
That's another thing.
But it's interesting you said that too about the crawdad mentality. In the barrel, we pulling each other down.
Right.
A question I would have, and it's true though. How do we get into the barrel?
Yeah. Yeah.
How? Who put us in the barrel?
Yeah. No. And that's to me is this coronavirus has heightened that reason too. I mean, why are we behind in finances, in spirituality, and physicality? And I think that's why some of these people are playing on it. That's why we open up the nation quicker and everything like that. They said we not dying. Them
Yeah.
people are dying. So let's go ahead and open it up. And if we lose a couple of them along the way,
Yeah.
that's fine. Because we have lacked. I mean, some of us have long before your parents and different things had stock tips
Yeah.
and different things like that
Yeah.
that we didn't take advantage of. But everybody else was getting that information and we didn't take advantage of it. How many of us have got bad credit coming out of the 20s and different things like that because we made some missteps along the way?
Because
And how
our
many have
parents
not?
put our names in.
Yeah, they put
Cable in the kid's
his name, and you got bad credit by the time you're 20 years old. And then, like I said, not to mention the physicality of what we do, and that's probably the only sin that we can attribute to you all. That the fact that y'all get the fried foods and everything else. You're
Fried
reciprocating.
chicken, yes. Collard greens,
all that,
yes.
I mean, all that stuff we eat has made us less
Yeah.
physical and doing the things we did. And I mean, we can sit here and say the fat people are going to be with us always, but we're going to die together too. So, and that makes me nervous about the corona thing. That I know that if I get it, I'm almost out of here. Unless it be by the grace of God. But that doesn't stop me from living and not trusting in God and doing the things
There
I
you
do.
go.
Because again, if my time to go, I can go hit by a bus and no corona will ever get me. So
Be in the best shape ever and still get ran over by a
I don't be
car.
as fit as you two girls right there and still die. So I mean, but like I said, I was still on
Clothes hide a lot.
Oh, okay. Amen. Well, we'll let that go. We'll let that go with that. But I think we just need to physically, financially, and spiritually, we lack in all those areas.
I like that.
Because
Okay,
we just don't. I mean, and that's the thing that just hit me hard with this whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the racism thing to come along, inequalities.
That's just icing.
Yeah, that's icing on the cake. And back to what you all were saying earlier is that I don't think there's a time as this. I don't think God just does things by happenstance. And we've been cooped up in this house. We've been cooped up in all this stuff. And all you needed was a George Floyd or something like that just to bring us out.
The tensions were high.
Yeah, and it was kind of like opportunists and everything like that. I mean, this happened in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And if I'm sitting back on my table, and I'm looking at Minneapolis and going through this rooting and things like that, then all of a sudden, wait a minute, they're looting and they're getting free stuff. So now all of a sudden, if you look at it, if you go back to the history now, you look at that next day, all of a sudden these protests and everything break out in other areas.
Yeah.
So they can be opportunists to get out there and not protest, but go get them a free TV, go get them a free PlayStation and stuff like that. When they didn't run to Minneapolis and do that, but they tore down their own city in their own area. And now some areas that don't have but one store in that area, now you got to go clear across town to go to a store. You don't realize that. And you got a TV, and you're all in the camera waving. And don't think they don't taping that stuff and trying to find out who you are. Again, our mind is not right, and because all the rest of us down, it should have been some of us. But back to what we were preaching about is that the natural man will not understand the spiritual man.
True that.
And what we're trying to talk to. I mean, I can go out there and say, people, stop. They've been to run me over and kill me before anything like that happened. Because
You in the way.
They don't understand that. They're painful and everything like that. So I always say, I suggest to people that when you don't know about your history and different things like that, it's good to go to places like Memphis, Atlanta, and Birmingham that has that history in their institutes and civil rights institutes and stuff like that, where it shows what. And it was, I've never been a history buff. Miss me with 12 Years a Slave, miss me with Selma. I don't want to see all those movies, crying and all that stuff. I don't want to see all that stuff. But when I seen it for myself, when I seen the burning bus, the actual bus, in Birmingham right there, and then right across the street, the 16th Avenue Baptist Church, where the girls were killed
I went there.
to see that, and to see, and then that made me realize that, no, I'm not going to treat everybody bad, because I had the opportunity to be the first black in an all-white school when I went to school in 5th grade. And so I understood that all was good and all weren't all bad. And so I learned that. And then when I went to my job at the post office, I became the only black in there. And some people would call that an Uncle Tom mentality. No, I was just trying to get a job and put my foot in the door. But I never forgot where I came from. I never forgot my Juneteenth celebration. I never forgot, because it was just like my dad, he worked in the post office, and he was the postmaster. But he realizes that he loved when he got a chance to go to Happy Foods and he go to the landing, because he said, these are my people. This is what I want to be with. And not to ignore them, but to speak to them and let them know that we care for one another. And we're in this together. And until we get that point to where we're on the same team, we're never going to be right with one another.
What do you think it's going to take for us to get there?
The right person and the right delivery, because depending on how it is delivered, a lot of the times people don't want to receive. So let me clean that up.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Let me clean that up. Because if I come at you with something to get you moving, because I'm on the physical thing, but you're not ready, you're like, well, she's trying to tell me I'm fat. Well, she thinks shit. And that's where we go. So how do it has to be delivered by the right person, and you have to be ready. Like, you have to really be willing, whatever connotation, like you said, mental or physical or whatever, to be able to get on the next level.
But I just flip this around and not being the commentator that I know you
No.
But I think the media perpetuates that, because of the fact that who they put the camera in front of.
Absolutely.
I mean, nobody in here I know of. I think he's a great preacher and seemed to be more apropos at speaking the words lately, getting the chance. But nobody here appointed Reverend Sharpton our leader.
No.
I mean, and same way with here. I mean, they try to make when we need something here in this community. Let's go to Melody Colbert.
It's like, there's more people. There are more people.
Yeah.
I am happy to do what I can, but there are a lot of good people in Joplin that are black other than myself.
Yeah, and we need to get across diversion, but
Absolutely.
I think the media pumps that up.
Yeah,
and like
that's
I said,
true.
they put if you stop putting the camera in front of Sharpton's face, he won't have nothing to say.
Right.
But again, nobody made him the official leader, and because he doesn't know any better, and because he is from our area, and some people can get that camera and lose it and different things like that. And he's not somewhat a good, same way with Jesse Jackson. Some people think he's not a great representation of him. I mean, so look, but these are people that they're putting in front of the camera, and there's some humble person that can really speak the word, that they're not talking to,
missing opportunity. Missing a chance to really gather and get people on the same page. And you know, because a lot of times when the respect is not you know, because of hearing the things they've said and seeing that kind of thing, and it's like,
but that's the slippery slope right there, because all of us are apt to sin.
Absolutely.
All of us have to sin. So it's scary to put yourself out there as being this perfect creature or being this perfect person. You know,
and none of us.
But you know, when I walk to the community, people are speaking that I don't even know anything about it. So I've got to be on my P's and Q's at all times.
Well, see, you got some people speaking to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. But I'm just saying, it just makes it more nervous because they think because of that little step on the platform that I'm better than anybody else. But I put on my pants just like everybody else. I struggle with sin just like everybody else.
It's a daily
walk. It's a daily cross-bearing walk.
Yeah.
And though I have to do it. And some days I win and sometimes I fail.
Yeah.
And so they got to understand that. So I don't understand sometimes, not Shiloh, but most people.
Of course not.
Not Shiloh, because they
don't have the unity.
We consider ourselves to be a hospital, and all of us are sick, and all of us got a different sickness. But I'm just saying, how can you have a pastor and a preacher that you ask to pray for all your sins and everything like that, and the one time he falls into sin, you're ready to throw him out?
Throw him. Right. Well, see, I knew it. I knew it. Why we listen to him?
Yeah.
And then, and it's funny you say that because that's what people who aren't in church and not saying they got to be in the building, just the church. We are the church, but that's one of the main things they say. Well, I don't go there because look at how they treat everybody. You know, look how Christians treat people, and it's true though.
No, it's the hypocritical stance is what it is, and what I've learned to do, and one of the things I can't stand, and stand's probably not a hard word to say, but I've been lumped into a category of stereotypes with everything else.
Yep.
And I like to think, as I've said myself, even though I am a pastor and a preacher, I don't believe I'm like every other one. I don't believe I'm better than anybody else. I believe I can talk to the most common man, the other man. I can talk to the white man. I can talk to the black man. Because you haven't read the book, and see, you judge the book by the cover, and not open it up and find out what it is. You think everybody's the same.
Yeah.
And I think, not that I say that I want them to come to Shiloh per se, but I want them to come to Christ, knowing that all of us are not up here.
Right.
Some of us realize that we do have positions, we have hierarchy and different things in the church, but I'm still me, and I'm still who God made me. Right. But I'm still a work in progress too. And anybody that knows me knows that. And, you know, I'll slip every now and then.
We all do.
But I try to stay in the ship.
I be like, every so often I quit rowing. But I'm still on the boat.
Yeah, still on the boat. Got to stay in the ship.
There's still hope.
Got to stay in the ship.
And that's not to say that we just, you know, and I think me and Danica was talking about that, is that we don't just put out the bad, you know, and there's a lot of good happening too.
Exactly.
You know, just
true.
And people are trying to do some good things, even just community-wise. You know, community gardens that are starting and different things like that. And when volunteers are needed, people step up for that, and you know, and it just there's good, and even the corporations are trying to do. You know, I mean, I'm gonna give a shout out to Lowe's for helping all the small businesses, including us, by giving us the KN something 5, whatever those masks are. But giving us a box of those and
That's
some
great.
sanitizing wipes and hand
Beautiful,
sanitizer.
beautiful, yeah.
And they went around and gave a lot of small businesses in Joplin because we're like, well, if you gotta wear masks, we can't. Where are we gonna get those and with what money?
Well, I think and I think that's by the fact of sitting down and really saying, let's be sincere about this.
Absolutely.
Instead of just window dressing this
Boy,
thing and just throwing something at it. Let's go ahead and throw some money at Black
boy.
Lives Matter and do like,
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah,
so.
that
and
Band-Aids
Yeah,
again.
just Band-Aids. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You really sit down and then, my daughter works for a corporation and she was just saying none of her local team helped her out, but one of the CEOs said,
Yeah.
actually come down and say, hey, we need to do better about this George Floyd situation. Use his name, and let's help our black employees.
Wow.
And again, she said that spoke volumes
Yes.
to her as a young person.
Yes.
That the CEO said, now, out of all the people that she works around,
Ain't said a
and
word.
ain't said a word.
And I've had, it's funny because, and you probably had it too, some, our friends and stuff, white friends and stuff, that some of them, like, they don't know what to say, I don't think. But then there's some who's like, tell me what to do,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
that's
I
what they're sincere
appreciate
about.
that.
they're sincere about it. They're
I
sincere about it.
appreciate that. And then some ain't even
No, but
mention a word.
and social media can be a detriment to that because
True.
I found some ones that you worked there, and I've been in the post office for 35 years and different things like that. But you found their real colors, that they're like the Branson Karen and stuff like that. And I put a post out there that said either they don't think we see their posts or they don't care.
Yeah.
And like I said, it shows me their true colors. Now again, I'm going to say hi and bye, going to speak.
Absolutely.
But I know now
Yeah.
how you really think.
Yes.
So that take me somewhere. We were talking earlier.
Okay.
So when those situations happen,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one of those things like, you're a pastor, so you tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay,
Look,
okay.
Mel, you know where I'm
Dang.
wrong.
Yep,
Dangerous.
I already know.
So, they say, she shows you who she is.
Right.
Oh, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
She apologized.
Right.
However, in Danica world,
Right.
okay, I have to draw the picture. So if I go hang out with Mel and she steals from me,
Mm-hmm.
next time I go out, I'm probably not leaving my purse with her,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because I've learned a lesson
Exactly.
in that
Right.
last
Exactly.
one. So they say, apologize, forgive and forget.
Right. It's hard to forget.
Man.
It's hard to forget.
I mean-
It's hard to forget. But like I said, you've learned a lesson now. I've loaned you $20.
Yes, sir.
I've been waiting for it for the longest.
You ain't gonna get it back.
They ain't gonna never get it
Not
back.
never.
Anything like that.
You
But
might
the
say
next
a
time
donation.
the Donica may come the next time and say I need $1.
Right.
It'd be very hard for her to get $1 out of me
Absolutely.
after that second time. Because
Past
at the
experience.
end of the day, God doesn't leave you ignorant. So He lets you know those people. And
Yeah.
back to what we were talking about
Yeah.
before we got started. That snake is always going to be a snake.
Man.
No matter what, even if the snake changes his things,
Yeah.
he still has that mindset. And we're all sinners. And we're apt to sin. And like I said, Mom tells me, said anybody, if we were sitting here talking about somebody else, don't think that I'm not crazy enough to not think that one of us would take somewhere and a dog don't take a bone and go somewhere and talk about me with somebody
Yeah.
else.
Yes.
So I have to have that mindset. It's still, we all are born in the flesh.
Right.
And we had to learn how to do good and stuff like that. So finding out who she is,
Yeah.
finding out, understanding that, and saying, hey, I would, because now I have to differentiate. Are you apologizing because you got caught,
Cause you got caught.
or is it sincere?
Yes.
And you'll be able to discern that too.
Yeah.
You'll be able
And
to
we've
discern
all
that too.
been there.
Right.
We've
Oh,
all
yeah,
been
yeah,
there,
yeah.
whether we're on that receiving end or the giving end.
Right.
Receiving or get. Yeah, we've all been there.
Right, right.
We may have hurt somebody,
Mhm.
and it's like they ain't said nothing, so maybe I don't need to apologize, or whatever. Or
Yeah.
somebody hurt us,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, dang, are they gonna say nothing? It's
And that's where I still have growth in because
Oh, me too.
I don't want you to think you got away with getting over on me.
I
So I
didn't
gotta
think about
say
it.
I gotta say something. I may be systematic, I may be shade poured over it, but you're not gonna get by and just think you got over on me and get away with that. At some point, I'm gonna get you back.
Stay
and
away.
that's where I need to work. That's where I still need to
That's
work
only
at.
fair.
I'm gonna need you to stay aware.
Yeah. And like I said, when they know they messed you up and you don't say, "Hey, how you doing?" Hug them,
Yeah.
and they think, "Oh, well, I'm fine. I'm fine." Yeah, but
Maybe that's why people don't speak.
But you're gonna get them. Boom.
Is that maybe
we came all
that's
the way
why?
around, didn't we? Came all the way
Full
back
circle
around.
with maybe that's why it's the guilt.
That might be guilt.
It could be.
It could be. It could be.
I care.
That's a good
She
way to
said I
that's a
can't.
good way to end it. I don't even
But
know.
we've got to. We need each other to survive.
We need each other.
And like I said, that's white, black, and everything. And
Yeah.
that we need each other. But if we can't get past loving one another,
Yeah.
and back to that family dynamic you talked about, I think we can go down the gamut
Yeah.
and talk about different sins and different ones.
Yeah.
Do you have the homosexual in your family? Yes, we do. Do you have the one in the prison? Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah.
One that lives in mama's back room that you're scared of because you're a little bit crazy and
Yeah.
you don't know what he's going to do? Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
We do.
Yeah.
The molester, the all
Yeah, yeah.
of it,
I mean,
all of it.
don't act like
all of
nobody's
it.
family has one of
Yes,
them.
we
And they're
all
like-
have them.
And
We
we
all
always, and you
have
got
them.
that bougie one. That
Yep.
they ride up to the family, picnic and don't touch me, don't mess with my kids. I mean, we run the gamut of it, but we're still family.
We're still family.
And we still need to love one another inside the family.
Absolutely.
And that family grows to the family of Christ, which again is worldwide, that we can't just have this one church mentality, that I've got a sister church in unity, that we need to get along, we need to do a Trinity.
Right.
I mean, we just need to grow from that point. And when we can get to that point, when we can love each other
Yeah.
inside, then we can go about loving one another after that.
I think that's, love, you gotta love yourself before you can love somebody else.
And I think that's where a lot of people are missing the whole point. We don't love ourselves.
Right, yeah.
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 So we have to start there.
We're mad at ourselves, and misery loves company.
Loves it.
And because you don't. And I mean, just because I'm my best friends is white, different things, don't make me forget who my black friends are.
Right,
I mean,
right.
And you may have got a job and left those ones, but I mean, you see it in the NBA and different things like that. You got to just hang around with these boys. Say they can't leave their boys behind. I mean, you got to break them, but if they bring you down now, you need to cut gut bait and run.
Yeah.
cut bait and run. But
Better get out of
if you're
there.
trying to help them out and give them a job and get them up out of the bucket tomorrow, bring them up out of the crawdad out of the bucket. Because I think we missed that point. What you were saying is that we put ourselves in that bucket because we don't think we can do any better.
Yeah.
We're negative. We don't think we can own a business. We need more vision boards.
Negativity
We need more positivity. And I learned this from Michael Collier, a comedian. Like I said, he talk about the cussing and fussing, but he has this show every morning on Facebook Live, and that he just talks about the fact of breathing in the good
Yeah.
and then excelling all the negative. And we have so many people that they get up in the morning and say, "This is not going to be a good day."
Yes.
And they've already defeated
You
before they
defeated.
get started.
You defeated.
Before you get started. Before it started.
And that's the thing too, it's like I want positivity around me. I don't do well with all the negative, because it brings you down and it's energy draining.
Yeah, energy draining.
It's work to be negative, and okay, but you're not getting paid for that, so you might want to lose that job.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Let that one go. That was one that's okay to quit.
Yeah. It's
But,
real clear. Yeah. And if you need music, whatever you need to count to 10, whatever you need to do to get you, you need the devotional or whatever it is to get you hyped. You ought to be able to hype because let the day play itself out. Some days are better than others.
Right.
But again, if you already go in saying it's going to be a bad day, I don't want to lose around my team in the first place. I mean, no matter how big the giant is, I mean, the word tells us so many times when the task seems so unmountable. That all things are possible with man are possible with God. And we need to understand that.
I'm with that.
Speaking of all things is possible.
All right.
Let's talk about look.
We're gonna talk. We got 3 minutes. We got to kill it.
3
Which
minutes.
one are we talking about?
What you got right here?
Oh man.
Oh, man.
I can't.
All
I
things
can't.
are possible.
All
man.
things are possible.
Let's ask Big
The
Thunder,
question
what do you think?
was, look, the question
Buckle up.
was as we end out for today. I don't even know. Our producer, I'm telling you, our producer,
Producer.
pray for him.
Okay.
The question was, do you
It's good.
do you think Bill Cosby will be released before they sign Colin Kaepernick?
Inquiring minds. would like to
Inquiring
know.
minds want to know.
I
And
think
we
Colin
want y'all to answer us too.
I think Colin Kaepernick will be signed before Bill Cosby gets out of jail. I mean, and I don't want to get in deep because I know we only got a short time, but I think Bill Cosby is part of this whole plan also. And it may sound conspiracy theories or something like that, but again, from what I understand, because he wanted to be bigger in what he's trying to do, and by NBC, they was not going to let that happen, and so they drove them some 30-year-old dirt. When I thought the statute of limitations was over with.
Limited.
And so, but again, back to Roger Goodell, I just think to save face, they're going to give that boy a job this year before, and so Bill Cosby's got to run his courts with another trial and stuff like that to get that taken. So I think Colin Kaepernick will be signed just as a way of kumbaya this thing together.
Window dressing.
Yeah, window
We're
dressing.
gonna talk about these conspiracies that people call conspiracies because all of them ain't conspiracies.
That's right. That's right.
That's coming up on the next show.
There you
In
go.
addition to our guest, which our guest is
Dr. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. It's Jordan Burton next
I
week.
was like, now this is the person. She's the
Dr.
one who
Jordan
does
Burton.
all that.
No.
Yeah,
Hey,
Jordan,
man.
you just got elevated,
gave
brother.
that to you.
Nothing
Yes.
wrong with it. But join us next week because
Yes.
Jordan Burton will be our guest, and
Amen.
he is a highly intelligent young man that's coaching in the Dakotas.
don't
Yeah,
know what
he's up in the
doing
Dakotas
Wow.
coaching. And he'll be talking with us about, he's going to dig more into the educational
Amen.
and the system.
Oh, good.
And me and him going to have a lot to go with that because I'm like, yes, I'm waiting on that one because
Right.
after being on council for 14 years, yes. There's a lot of things that need to be addressed
Very good.
in
Very
the system. But thank you.
Thank you.
Brother Nero. We
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
having him. And man,
I just have one question.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
We done. Well, let's go out there. Go ahead.
Where can I hire you all as announcer? He's a great voice.
Oh my
I
gosh.
tell you, one of the greatest voices I've ever heard. He needs to be on radio. He's so good.
You know, somebody told me he sound like Don Kelly from
Don
back in the
Kelly,
day.
back in the day.
Don
He has a
Kelly.
smooth voice.
The
Let me say.
smooth.
But we don't have that kind of funding right now.
Yeah, but we are looking for investors and sponsors because
Well, whatever it takes, I'm
yes,
going to use
yes.
what it is to
So
get that man on my team. I tell you.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Colbert Connection.
Yeah.
God bless.